Hi there, I'm David Molka with your weekly recap where we catch you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. We begin in Clackamas County where a jury has found former Portland Trailblazer Ben McLemore guilty of rape. Because this is a serious Measure 11 crime, McLemore faces a mandatory minimum of just over 8 years behind bars. A warning, the story includes material that is not suitable for all viewers. Kyle Aboshi has more.
Guilty of the charge.
Former Portland Trailblazer Ben McLemore showed little emotion after a Clackamas County jury found him guilty of rape following a 2.5-week trial. The jury convicted him on 3 counts: first-degree rape, first-degree sexual penetration, and second-degree sexual abuse. Prosecutor Scott Healy.
You just don't do something like this to somebody and get away with it. I don't care who you are.
Prosecutors say McLemore raped a 21-year-old woman at a party in October of 2021. The assault happened at the Lake Oswego home of McLemore's then teammate Robert Covington. During trial, the woman testified she was incapacitated after a night of heavy drinking and unable to consent. McLemore admitted he'd been drinking as well, but testified the sex was consensual.
She didn't show no signs of distress or discomfort, and didn't, give me no signs at all.
The prosecutor described the victim as brave for coming forward, reporting the crime, and then following the long road to justice.
Crime victims don't often report these cases, even when celebrities not involved. So she was very brave to do that. She followed through. She stuck with this. And, I think she's in a much better place now, and she can start the emotional healing process because she is very emotionally traumatized by what happened to her.
Following the verdict, sheriff deputies took McLemore into custody. The former Trailblazer, who once wore number 23 on the court, now has a new number. Ben McLemore is inmate 273-47953 in the Clackamas County Jail. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
By the way, if you or someone you know has experienced sexual assault, know that help is available. You can contact the National Sexual Assault Hotline anytime. That number, 800-656-HOPE. The man accused of a deadly daytime shooting outside Portland Central Library made his first court appearance on Wednesday. 26-year-old Hassan Muse, who was charged with second-degree murder, denied his identity multiple times, giving the judge a different name and insisting police had the wrong man. Muse was arrested 10 minutes after police say he fatally shot a man Tuesday afternoon near Southwest 10th and Yamhill. And a 17-year-old girl has been charged with attempted murder in connection with a shooting. Police say this started with a disturbance report in April in Southeast Portland about 2 people who had guns, with one who eventually fired. Nobody was hurt, but both people were arrested. A 37-year-old woman now faces a lesser weapons charge. In Salem, this year's legislative session officially ended late last week, and despite some progress and lots of bills that have either already or will soon become law, lots of attention is on the failure of state lawmakers to pass a transportation funding bill. Just one part of the fallout here. ODOT will have to lay off 600 to 700 workers. Email shared with KGW show it now faces a more than $300 million shortfall, meaning it cannot continue core operations and maintenance at its current levels. The agency's director writing in an email to staff, quote, "This is the hardest message I've ever had to send in my career. I know it's shocking, scary, and frustrating. It is for me, too. The reduction is short-sighted and fails to account for the cost of inaction. It's sure to cost the state more in the long run as our assets deteriorate." Meanwhile, the union that represents some ODOT workers says its members may be able to find other jobs.
If your position is slated to be eliminated, but another position that you also could do in the same region is not slated to be eliminated, you could have that position.
For example, on my crew, we could have someone in a shop next to us, say they close that crew down. Those people with a lot of seniority could choose to come to my shop and bump people that they have more seniority, more tenure than.
All right, so displacing someone else, though, ODOT estimates hundreds of workers will be out at the end of July. One of the bills that did make it through is aimed at helping adults with disabilities get better access to mental health care. The new law closes a long-standing gap that often kept people with intellectual or developmental disabilities from getting the help they needed. Investigative reporter Evan Watson spoke with a family who says previously doctors told them their adult son living with autism was not a good candidate for mental health care. This session, Oregon lawmakers passed a bill saying hospitals and healthcare providers cannot deny access to mental health assessments, treatment, or services based on a person's intellectual or developmental disability.
We would expect a certain range of services. That's now available to him as well. And that's a great thing for him and for a lot of people in the same boat.
Well, you can find Evan's full story on KGW.com or on our free TV app. That is KGW+. Well, also this week, Oregon's governor signed an executive order requiring school districts to implement no phone policies for students by the beginning of next year. Evan Watson has the details on that.
Governor Tina Kotek says cell phones are too big of a distraction in Oregon schools. Kotek's new executive order will ban phones in schools all day long, saying it will improve student mental health and academic success.
We get to control the school environment to some degree. Research is also saying that students aren't focused on learning because of the devices that they have. We as adults have to do something.
Many teachers have called for some kind of statewide policy for years.
We have tried so many different techniques, systems, policies.
Phone buckets, boxes, charging stations.
Saying their efforts to fight phones in their classrooms just haven't worked.
They are working really hard to keep our students engaged in an algorithm that we can't fight. I will never be more interesting than TikTok.
A few Oregon schools, like Seaside High School, have already curbed phone use on their own.
You go up into the cafeteria, it's loud, right? That's how school cafeterias should be. They're loud and students engaging with each other.
Fighting back through magnetic locking pouches or other strategies.
I was lacking in math, and I feel like that's the only class I kind of picked up my phone to use. But now it's so much easier to ask. Usually I wouldn't ask questions, I'd ask AI. Now I ask my teacher and he explains it perfectly to me. It's easier to understand. The phone was a big distraction for me personally.
But not everyone is on board.
People that are good, like us,
I agree with
that. We are good. We are not naughty. We are not using our phone during class. We are perfect citizens. But we get punished too.
Opponents say blanket bans will cause problems. How can students communicate with their families and employers? What does enforcement look like? Are effective strategies too costly? And what about the worst case scenarios?
Because I think a lot of people are worried about not being able to reach their parents during like emergencies and stuff.
The order allows for some flexibility. Schools can make exceptions for students with medical needs and disabilities.
It's really important to protect our students.
Evan Watson, KGW News.
Well, still a few questions there. Meanwhile, one more thing out of Salem, a bill aimed at tackling Oregon's public defender crisis. Remember that made it to the governor's desk, but as of Friday afternoon, had yet to be signed. This funnels more money into the public defense system and allows attorneys to take on more clients. Right now, the Oregon Judicial Department says there are about 3,700 unrepresented defendants. The bill will also allow some law students to work on public defense cases while they're still working to pass the bar. Lawmakers say they have faith in the newly appointed head of the state's Public Defense Commission.
I believe we have, after 3 years, the ship finally turned with a leader who is a leader instead of a manager, and organizations that understand we either get it right or perhaps they may not exist much longer.
Well, during the House vote, lawmakers referred to the plan as a real fundamental improvement. Portland has hired its next fire chief. Lauren Johnson, who serves as the assistant fire chief in Dallas, Texas, will take over in mid-August. Johnson has worked there for 26 years. She'll now lead an agency with some 740 employees and an almost $200 million annual budget. Okay, talk about a rough crowd. Portland Timbers management is apologizing for the long, very long wait times fans faced at a big concert last weekend at Providence Park. It was the largest produced show so far at the stadium. Some people who attended were understandably upset about the hour-plus waits outside. Devin Haskins has the story.
On the inside of Providence Park, it was a concert people were talking about, from the music to the fire.
The show was amazing. I mean, it was well produced, it was well set up, loved the fireworks, the sound was great, so the show itself was top notch.
Eric Goranson bought tickets last November.
It was one of the, better shows, and I've seen hundreds of shows. It's one of the better ones I've seen outside.
The show may have been a highlight, but but getting inside,
It was a disaster.
he took this video of tens of thousands of fans lining the sidewalk just trying to get inside.
I've never seen a line out there or just a crowd. It was like a big street party out there with everybody pushing in with no leadership, no organization, no nothing. I've never seen anything like it.
Morgan Honor was there too.
From the parts I saw, it was amazing. Jelly Roll killed it.
Honor said she had never been to Providence Park, leading to some confusion about where to go. She waited in line outside for over an hour, causing her to miss the first two acts.
I went with my boyfriend and we were both confused about which gate to go to. And we asked like 3 workers that were directing foot traffic for help and guidance. And 3 of them said they don't know.
The sold-out show was the 3rd concert at the 99-year-old stadium in the last 10 months. The Timbers said it was the largest produced show they've hosted and said it was a win for both fans and the city. In a statement to KGW, the Timbers did acknowledge the long wait times, writing in part, "We apologize for the inconvenience and we will work to improve on it for future shows." And while the Timbers are planning for future shows, those we talked with said they didn't know if they'd be back.
Maybe I would rather make the drive up to Seattle.
Unless there's big changes, not a chance.
Devin Haskins, KGW News.
It's going to be amazing. It's a huge investment in the future of the club.
Hey, speaking of the Timbers, some big news for the team, which announced this week it plans to pour in some $40 million to upgrade its Beaverton practice facility. The Timbers purchased 13 acres of land from the Tualatin Hills Park and Rec District for $25 million, part of an area they were already leasing and that had grown fairly cramped. Art Edwards shows us the team's state-of-the-art vision for the future.
This is familiar territory for the Portland Timbers. They've been training here since 2011, using space they lease from the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District. 2 fields and space in the buildings on the property. Over the years, they have expanded and invested millions in upgrades. Now, that has changed.
And we own this entire 13-acre site. We're going to be able to put in a best-in-class performance center. It's going to be amazing. It's a huge investment in the future of the club.
Total investment will be about $40 million. The facility will be known as the Portland Timbers Performance Facility. The expansion will include a second grass field to give them 3 fields overall, a viewing deck to watch training, and expanded office space.
I think it's a game changer for us. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think we will have the best training facility in the Pacific Northwest, for sure. It's a big commitment from the ownership, and we're really, really excited.
Club owner Merritt Paulson said they had been working on this deal for about 4 years. He called it a tremendously complex deal.
It wasn't just about the purchase. We obviously had to find THPRD another home for their fleet. Beside that gate right there where their fleet is parked, they had to find a home for, and it had to be in this general vicinity.
This project isn't just about the Portland Timbers and developing a top-tier training facility. Beaverton's mayor says this is a big win for the city.
This is turning a Parks and Rec facility into an economic engine that's going to start paying property taxes. And for Beaverton, that's a really big deal.
The club will also donate over $1 million to THPRD to help fund participation and access to sports for underserved youth. The hope is to have the initial renovations done sometime next year. Art Edwards, KGW Sports.
Looks pretty sweet. And staying with sports, the Milwaukee Bucks are reportedly moving on from Damian Lillard. According to ESPN, the team is waiving the former Blazers star. The move clears enough cap space for Milwaukee to sign center Miles Turner. Dame, by the way, who in theory should be able to pick his future team, tore his Achilles in the playoffs, and he could miss all of next season while recovering. Let's head over to Rod Hill now with weather.
On this July 4th Friday, coming to you from the Rose City, Portland, where our #1 story here on the west side of Oregon continues to be comfortable temperatures. We've had so many July 4ths lately that have been around 90 and even some that have been pushing 100 degrees with record heat, but not this year. So, of course, the headline of the day is the fireworks display. We have a lot going on. We have our Blues Fest in downtown Portland along the Willamette River, and they will have a fireworks display this evening at 10 p.m. And this just shows you the temperatures this evening, including 64 degrees at 10. A northwest wind 5 to 10, we think 15 at most, and could be clearing out. We actually are picking up some cloudiness this morning from thunderstorms that have been, I'm going to say, raging overnight into the morning hours, moving up across central and eastern areas of our state. And that's our number one story in terms of being concerned. So here's, I want to show you what the radars look like this morning. Everything moving south to north, multiple spots of storm development. And the Doppler radar does give you an idea of how active the lightning strikes have been. So at this time of the morning, we had over 100 strikes over the last 30-minute period. Most of the storms themselves, most, not all, but most have stayed outside of the resort areas of Sun River and Bend. But you can see a few strikes curling back into that region. We've also had lightning strikes in Burns and out toward John Day, and expect strikes out over the Blue Mountains a little bit later today. If you go back to Monday here in Oregon, we've had over 100 fire starts. Almost all of those, and quite frankly, maybe all of them, but certainly the majority, have been from lightning strikes. We've had lightning in our state in pockets of southern Oregon specifically every day going all the way back to Monday. Now, we have another red flag warning or fire weather warning today for the potential of lightning producing new fire starts, blanketing not all, but a good chunk of southern Oregon and extending northward up through Malheur and parts of Baker County along I-84 today as well. Now, when you get to the west side, we are all dry and kind of a varying batch of sunshine to cloudiness. You get more sun as you drop southward along the Oregon coast, and as you drop southward out of Portland, you find more clouds on this July 4th from Portland northward, and the same thing from the north coast up into Long Beach. This is beautiful, right? Chinook Winds Casino Resort in Lincoln City. Our coastal cities are always very busy on July 4th. Lots of folks, of course, loving to have fireworks on the beach. 47 degrees is the temperature. It's been a cool morning. Here are some clouds. These are debris clouds blowing off of those storms in central Oregon over our Mount Hood summit. Folks recreating today will find 60-degree temperatures at pass level up over the Cascades. And again, a mixed bag of clouds over Portland this morning from cloud blow-off from these storms. Now, Futurecast shows a second batch of storms coming up this afternoon. Here's the SNCS line coming out of southern Oregon and again moving up to the north, out to the northeast. If the modeling is correct, this will fizzle late evening, and then that's it. Tomorrow will be the first day of the week with no thunderstorm activity in Oregon. In fact, Saturday and Sunday not only dry, but should be pretty much sunny to mainly clear across all of our state. And you can see this Saturday at 6 p.m. So let's get back to July 4th. We'll be low to mid 60s at our beaches, partly cloudy to maybe mostly sunny when you drop down in Lincoln City, Newport, and Depot Bay. Our valley forecast, partly to mostly sunny south of Portland. So that includes Salem at 77 degrees. Southwest Washington numbers will be a little bit cooler. There's going to be more clouds when you get up north of the Columbia River. But still 73 in Battleground and Clark County, pretty nice. 60s and 70s statewide, you can see here on the afternoon temperatures. And here's Portland's 7-day. Look at our weekend. 75 today, early clouds to clear tomorrow, 79. A mainly clear Sunday and 84. Warmer, but still comfortable.
Great 7-day and loving the tie, right? And that's a wrap on your weekly recap. I'm David Molko. Don't forget, you can catch up on the latest headlines and your weather impact forecast anytime on KGW.com, the KGW mobile app, or on our free TV app, KGW Plus. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful summer weekend and a great week to come.